Hey Earth Guardians, it's Serpentine. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are here to talk about Mercury in Scorpio, part 1. This is going to be all about Mercury's entrance into Scorpio and its entrance into the retrograde shadow all the way up until it stations retrograde. Then Mercury retrograde will be a second video about Mercury in Scorpio part 2, retrograde time period. But this is about to be the opening act to this saga that's going to take us pretty much all the way through the end of November. So stay tuned. We're going to get into it. So before I get into the main meat of this video, I just want to offer a friendly reminder to you all to subscribe. Subscribe to this channel, like, comment, share, put the notification bell on if this reading resonates with you or if you have been watching my videos. I'm trying to grow my YouTube channel and any assistance in that would be so appreciated. I really, really do appreciate every single person's support. So thank you so much. Also, I do offer personal sessions, so if you would like to book a session with me, you can go on over to mythichearts.com/levelup and see my offerings. Also, brand new huge announcement that I have that I put on my IG and other places, and now I'm going to be telling you here. I have officially launched Earth Guardian Quest, which is an extended 5-month container that is taking people on a journey through the end of Saturn in Sidereal Aquarius. So when Saturn stations direct in Aquarius on November 15th, the container will open and it will go all the way through the end of March. This is going to be an incredibly powerful container that will be activating the shaman archetype. And if you want to explore an additional archetype, there are other side quests available for 3 different archetypes in a kind of choose your own adventure setup. So it's kind of like part spiritual container, part choose your own adventure RPG. It's a very cutting edge spiritual technology that I've been channeling for about 3.5 years. And you can learn all the things you want to learn about it on my website, mythichearts.com/quest. There will be guided meditations, bi-weekly oracles for the new and full moons, Discord server access, a whole journey guide, a lot of stuff. So head on over to mythichearts.com/quest if this interests you, and you can see the different sign-up options that we have over there. Lastly, if you guys want to catch these readings live, twitch.tv/Serpentine Rising. I stream 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually, although sometimes I am delayed and I'm streaming like I am right now on Saturday night. But generally speaking, you can catch me Monday, Wednesday, Friday on Twitch, where we do some energy update deep dives, spirituality, occult, conspiracy news, light gaming. I've been playing a lot of Honkai Star Rail lately, so if you are interested in those vibes, come on over, hang out. We would love to have you there in the chat. Now that I've gone through my spiel, let's get into Mercury in Scorpio part 1. Mercury in Scorpio part 1. Be honest about what you truly desire. A time to get clear on and have the strength to come clean about what you truly desire and kickstart your journey of manifesting it. There may be an underlying regret regarding missing an opportunity to pursue this in the past due to confusion, overlooking it, bad timing, or prioritizing other things. This doesn't mean that it's too late. Soul retrievals and ajna, which is like third eye activations. So this is a time where you may be feeling called to start to time travel back to certain periods of your life and reclaim aspects of yourself and integrate them into your being. Is kind of like the pre-retrograde vibes with this, because we're getting our third eye activated pretty intensely by Mars in Cancer, which is the ruler of Scorpio where Mercury is. And so there's going to be a lot of deep awareness and insight that we're going to be integrating throughout all of this as we lead up to this retrograde time period. So this is obviously just the beginning, but we have been getting these vibes kind of coming through with the Venus in Scorpio as well, the new moon and everything. And now it's really about like really starting to articulate these things, because Mercury is the ruler of the intellect. It also involves writing. So there's a opportunity here to not just get clear, but really get very like detail oriented around that, and maybe even start to communicate that to people or to yourself in some fashion through creative self-expression and stuff like that. Mercury is the ruler of Virgo, where Ketu is in Hasta. So this is all having a indirect but still profound effect on the eclipse story, especially once Mercury goes retrograde. Both Jupiter and Mercury will be retrograde, and so that means that both of the rulers of where the nodes are will be retrograde, which means I do think this is going to be a very powerful, like, rewind vibes of going back into our past and retrieving aspects of ourselves and past lives and stuff like that can really be seen here, in my opinion. So it may be that revisiting your past will give you some insight into what it is that you want now, because like I said before in a stream, a lot of times the things that we are interested in as kids have a huge impact on us as adults, and we have to kind of like relearn how to access that, because a lot of times we get our imagination or what we truly want socialized out of us because we have to be like realistic about our lives and stuff like that. But in reality, if we had actually pursued those things, we might be in a better place because they're like organic to our being in a certain sense. So there's that. Let's go to the observatory and see what the chart has to say. So here we are in the observatory, Mercury in Scorpio part 1, October 29th through November 25th, 2024. This is the lead up to the retrograde, although whenever the planet enters the sign that the retrograde is going to eventually happen in, you kind of start to get those stories activated. So same thing with Mars in Cancer. Mars is not going retrograde until the first week of December, but we're already starting to get those stories activated that will eventually start to like move into that reflection energy of the retrograde later on towards the end of the year. So what I do recommend for those who want to understand how these energies are affecting you like more specifically than the general reading is you can go to Cosmic Insights app, download that app, put in your birth information, your birthday, time, and place of birth, and you can get your ascendant, and then you can find out what sign Scorpio is for you. You can also read from the moon, so you can read from the ascendant and the moon. And when you find out what sign Scorpio is for you, and then what signs Mercury rules, so Gemini and Virgo, where those other stars are, the hollow stars, you can kind of get an idea of how your Gemini and Virgo houses are currently manifesting and getting activated through your Scorpio house. Then you can kind of apply what I'm saying in the reading and consider it in relation to those respective domains of your life. And you can find out like what the houses mean and stuff online when you just Google, you know, like what is the first house, what is the fifth house, et cetera, et cetera. And you can kind of get a bit of a more detailed look at what this is talking about. But yeah, you can see that at the time of this transit starting, Mercury is with Venus in Scorpio and the ascendant's also in Jeshta Scorpio. So like the reason why they want you to get clear on what you truly desire is because Jeshta in particular has a lot to do with manifestation. And if you want to get really real about manifesting your desires, you need to really get clear on what they are and then what the best strategy is to kind of like start to do the practical things to bring that into form. And with 0 degrees Scorpio, like you enter into Scorpio and you have Vishaka Nakshatra, which has a lot to do with like sudden insight, sudden kind of like lightning bolt energy where your path may fork into a different direction that you didn't expect, or there may be a discharge of energy that like suddenly shifts things in a totally different direction than what you thought. And then with Anuradha Nakshatra, that has a lot to do with friendships and relationships because it's ruled by Mitra, who is the god of friendship and oaths. And so it may be that once you kind of reorient around what this new clear direction is for you in a certain sense in your mind, then you can start to kind of gather some allies to help you, or otherwise like just be on a path that's going to ultimately yield success because you've kind of reoriented your approach to that. And then when you end up in Jeshta, you start to really like orient yourself towards executing your power in a very confident way, as it is ruled by Indra, the king of the gods, and has a lot to do with overpowering your enemies and being able to call in really high level manifestations. Like you could argue that Jeshta is the number one star out of all 27 nakshatras to be the best manifester. And you see this star repeatedly in the charts of people who are like billionaires and world leaders and stuff like that. In fact, Donald Trump is a Jeshta moon. So it's interesting that, you know, he's having a lot of this energy activated right now on top of his natal moon in the lead up to the election and stuff like that. It also kind of makes you wonder, like, do either of these people, even though they're trying to become president, like, do they really want to be president? I don't know. It kind of seems like being president only is cool after you quit becoming president, but that's a whole other topic. We're going to go into the election predictions on Monday, so stay tuned for that. And then, of course, we have Saturn in Aquarius retrograde aspecting it. We have Jupiter in Taurus aspecting it, where we are being kind of asked to really go deep in our healing and unveiling of what it is that we want, and healing ourselves through the like acceptance of that, and then really reflecting on our values and considering the ways in which we can embody our values more in the context of understanding what it is that we want more and stuff like that, and how those two things play off each other, and how those two things affect our relationships and how we communicate with other people, and how we're directing our life, you know, through our self-expression and stuff like that, especially as we continue to integrate the pretty major eclipse energies and the identity reboot that inevitably comes with that. So there's a lot going on, but we're going to make it simple. And when we get to the reading, we're going to have one card for awareness, one card for integration, one card for choice, and one card for result, and one card for the underlying energy. And this is going to give us an idea of how we can best maximize the potential of this energy in this moment so that we can make the highest choices and generate the highest result for ourselves based on what is available to us energetically. So let's get into it. All right, everyone, we got the cards, and these are very on theme for what I already channeled. So it's going to be interesting to see kind of what comes through in addition to that. For the underlying energy, we have the Queen of Wands. So this is very much that Jeshta energy vibe I was just talking about really having an impulse to call in powerful manifestations for yourself because you have gotten clear on what it is that you truly desire, and you are ready to do what it takes to align your creative energy in manifesting that, and doing so in a way that is going to see your power and capacity to hold manifestations expand, in my opinion. And it may be that you have to be getting a bit vulnerable with yourself in order to like really open up to this. But ultimately, the Queen of Wands isn't positioned to do this lightly, because there's a whole thing with the Queen of Wands where it's like you understand your shadow and how to work in manifesting with that without getting co-opted. And I think it's because there is, in this Mercury and Scorpio situation, you are being honest with yourself about what it is that you want. And so therefore you don't have any shadows that are co-opting you into either messing it up or getting you distracted from going after the thing that you really want because you are subconsciously judging that or whatever it is. This is a strong underlying energy to have because it's talking about, like, no matter what this process is, the energetic push that's like motivating it is rooted in a pretty strong place, in my opinion. On top of that, for awareness, we have 9 of Cups, which is literally like you are becoming aware of your true wishes for your life. And we have like a genie lamp on here and stuff like that. It really does feel like for some people, they're already starting to manifest these things. And it's giving them the courage and the momentum to continue down a path that they've only just started due to this awareness. And it's like through consistently showing up and taking it step by step that, you know, more of this can be revealed simply through like pursuing it through some sort of creative self-expression or even communication with other people. Also, there's this whole like Mars third eye activation thing going on right now, and it's like that can be very stimulating for your imagination and like thinking beyond what you used to think due to limiting beliefs kind of being blasted out and stuff like that. So we're already off to like a pretty strong start in terms of just like not just these energies, but like the way in which they are really mirroring what has already like come through for this stream, which is always pretty interesting because it's then talking about how like we really need to be focusing on this more than like seeing it as a way in. It's like we're already in. We're already there. For integration, we have 2 of Wands, which is again exactly what I was talking about earlier with Vishaka being the first nakshatra of Scorpio, which already started at the end of Libra. And it's that lightning energy that I was telling you about. And on this card, we have lightning. On this card, we also have lightning. And it's like the power has built up to such an extreme degree that there now is a crossroads before us. And we are going to need to really, in our integration of what it is that we truly want and the power that we've amassed, to start really pursuing that in some concrete way. It's giving us an opportunity to really reflect on what this means for our path in the long term and really decide, really take the responsibility of this moment to be very intentional around our actions and how they are shaping our new path and stuff like that. So you may feel like you're still not fully committed to a direction because you're still in the process of amassing enough energy to like make that jump or make that transition to like the different pathway. But it definitely seems to me that there will have to be some sort of choice made eventually on what that is. It's just interesting that for the choice card, we have the Hanged Man, which is a little bit counterintuitive. It's almost like because we know this is about to go retrograde, they're like, this is maybe a time to allow the downloads to come in organically and allow the stuff to progress organically and to not force yourself down a pathway prematurely, because it does seem like there's going to be more information and insight that's revealed during the retrograde that has an impact on what your approach is going to be in the long term, and fill in some blanks so that you don't jump the gun on a certain thing. It feels like this says in the thing, it's like there may be underlying regret regarding missing an opportunity to pursue this in the past, or bad timing, or prioritizing other thing. It's like, it kind of feels like there's a bit of a shift in perspective needed, and it needs to be intentional around this for you. It may be that you choose to delay doing something because you know that the timing is really important, that you need more information, even though you're starting to really gain some momentum. It doesn't mean that you're gonna like have that momentum dissipate. For other people, it's about like, if you have a certain thought around what this Two of Wands is for you, it's like maybe it's a time to really consider that what you think are your two options, or what you think are your paths that are available to you, are not the full picture of what it is that is available to you, and that only in being in a kind of reflection or stasis situation with regards to your process that you start to understand what that means. And of course, like the classic Mercury retrograde thing is like, oh, there can be delays, right? It's like, okay, but what does that really mean? And I think that in this case, it's like you want to make sure that the foundation is strong for whatever it is that you are calling in, or for whatever path it is that you're like embarking on and stuff like that. And it kind of seems to me that when we have Page of Cups in reverse coming in for result, that there needs to be a review of something from the past that maybe never fully took off, that you want to like delve into more before powering through, is the feeling. It's not that it's not going to happen, so to speak. It's more so that it kind of feels like the new downloads need some time to integrate into the previous downloads from the past, and in that synthesize a new version of what this was in the past, and eventually that it will then be given the green light to be like going ahead, is the vibe I'm getting from all of this. And so it's a strong start, but then it starts to kind of like slow down, and I kind of feel like that's just what happens when Mercury ends up stationing and we kind of go back and start to review. So I don't think that overall we're not going to be getting this manifesting vibe on. I think that we are. I just think that it's going to require, it's just not going to be a linear process. And I think that sometimes Mercury like wants things to be logical and linear because it kind of really thrives in like, you know, detail oriented tasks and stuff like that. But it just kind of feels like with this Hanged Man, it may be like for choice and stuff like that. It may be that, you know, collective events and things that are happening in the world around us that are catalyzed in November have an impact on our approach, because we're having a shift in our perspective around what the world is and how then we show up to operate within that. I kind of feel like that's a big vibe with this too, because again, with this Two of Wands, you know, with integration, it's like we need to be integrating the crossroads that we're at collectively and understand how that's going to shape the landscape that we're going to be in for the foreseeable future, and how that could potentially have an impact on how we want to show up for, you know, co-creating the desires that we hold in our heart that we're becoming aware of for a reason. And it's not to say that it's not going to be possible. It's more so that there just needs to be some reflection done on how we can have it show up to its fullest potential, is the vibe that I'm getting with this. Again, when you get clear on what Scorpio is for you and like your other Mercury houses, you'll be able to like apply this more specifically, but this is just like the general energetics behind that. Now for the oracles, I pulled 2 animals today for some reason. They wanted me to draw 2. Dolphin popped up in reverse, and then we have lizard as well. For dolphin in reverse, this is kind of like, you know, there's an element of like collective karmas that are weighing heavy on everyone, and that it's a bit inescapable in relation to all of this, especially with so much shadow revelation happening. It's providing a lot of fuel for those of us who are well versed in shadow integration and working with that in a way that is empowering for us. But for a lot of people, I think it will be a little bit exhausting, because you know, your mileage may vary, but like it's a lot of deep healing going on right now. And it may just be that you need to be, if you're in a position where you're like feeling a little bit in the hangman vibe, you need to be kind of like remembering that there's a method to the madness here, and karmically there are reasons why certain things are happening, and that doesn't mean that you are not doing your role and your work as a healer in this time. It's just that, you know, again, it's a non-linear process, and so it may just be that certain people are having to face, you know, karmic events that make them feel like maybe they have to like shift their plans or something like that, is the vibe. But it's not a bad card. It's just, you know, again, you have to hold the right perspective around this and understand that sometimes there are forces at play that are out of our control, that we just have to like trust in this process. And for lizard, this is really about harnessing your creative energy and applying it to those things that are going to be most like worthy. So this is a great opportunity to really like have discipline and be aware of any distractions that you may have, because you just don't want to let anything in the collective, or let anything that pops up in the mass exposures that are going on, like take you too far off course or knock you off your game. And so if you are just aware of like the various outlets that you have at your disposal to channel your creative energy in while things play out in the background, like that would be a good thing to do, because I think that even in times of stasis, we are still creating. It's just that it's the yin mode, and that's just as valid of a mode as the yang mode, you know? But it does feel like there's going to be some heat that needs to be channeled, because this is the fire element. And we, of course, have the Queen of Wands here as the fire element as well, and the Two of Wands. For the Galactic Heritage deck, we have Seeing the One and Masculine Principle popped up in reverse. I don't always read these in reverse, but in this case, I kind of do. This is really talking about the Mars in Cancer third eye activation that I was talking about in the previous stream, so I definitely recommend watching the Mars in Cancer video. It does just feel like there's a big inner expansion around your relationship to masculine energy and how you can integrate that in a healthy way into your experience. Because I do think that we are moving towards a significant era of detoxing of the masculine energy next year, once K2 moves into Leo. And now that we are almost clear this eclipse season, and we will be clear of it for the most part by the time we get into November, we'll be kind of in the post-game situation of that. We're going to be starting the story that starts to close out this Virgo Pisces axis situation, and then it's going to move into the Leo Aquarius situation. And I do see that, like, the rise of the divine feminine energy, you know, is a huge factor in the detox of the distorted masculine energy. It just kind of feels like there is going to be some revelations around the distorted masculine energy and its iterations that we see playing out in various levels of the society, and how we can see the way that it is serving our evolution, even if it looks really gnarly on the outside, is something that's coming to me as well. Again, it's like this Hanged Man for choice is really going to be a moment where we're going to be asked to, like, be open to other perspectives and interpretations of how we see things playing out in our lives and in the collective, as we are seeking to make certain things manifest, but also are at the mercy of certain forces that are getting us to align with a new path. For the Goddess Oracle, we have Vesta, home. Your household situation is improving either through a move or a healthy change in the occupant. So this is, again, Mars in Cancer. Cancer is the ruler of the original fourth house, the house of home and family. So there is an element of, like, maybe part of what you're getting clear on is, like, what it is that you want out of a home, what it is that you want out of, like, where you're living, or having some sort of change or disruption happening there that is getting you to, like, see home in a new light and stuff like that, and family. And then also, like, collectively for the country, this can be talking also about, like, the homeland and, like, how certain collective events are reshaping what that's looking like, and how we're at a bit of a crossroads, like, collectively, and where this country is going, at least in America, and needing to kind of wait to see a little bit, like, what's going to happen with that. And not to, like, do a spoiler alert for Monday's stream, but, like, one of the biggest takeaways that I got from my divination that I'm going to talk about more at length later is that I don't think we're going to know who the winner is right away on election day. I kind of feel like there's going to be a delay in getting the results, and that there's going to be a lot of chaos that comes out of how close of an election it is. And that's maybe why certain decisions need to be postponed with the Hangman, because it's like we still need to figure out who is going to be the president and how that's going to shape the world in many ways. Again, this is, like, I'm an American, so, like, I'm speaking from being in living in America, but obviously that does have a ripple effect to very many places across the world. Even in conversations that I've had with other people about other non-related topics, a thing that keeps coming up is, like, well, no one really wants to do anything or decide anything until they know who the president is, because of how that's going to have an effect on the economy and everything. And so I think a lot of people are, like, they want to get positioned to make big power moves, but they feel like they can't make them yet until certain factors are more known, is a vibe. So there's that as well. We have also the water element coming up here, which is interesting because, again, even though fire has come through strong, we also have Nine of Cups and Page of Cups in reverse. So, and of course, Scorpio is a water sign, and Mars in Cancer is a water sign. Like I was saying in the Mars in Cancer video, definitely watch that for context. Like, there will be emotional turbulence during this time. Mars is debilitated in Cancer. The moon moves every 2.5 days into a new sign, which has an effect on how that's, like, energetically operating. So it's going to be important that you are able to ground in some way within yourself, like home within yourself, and be able to work with emotional fluctuations, because there can be, like, highs and lows with this. It can be very charged. And so I think it's just going to be important that you consider the self-care that you can take to give yourself the best opportunity to weather these storms, so to speak. especially because election day is a Mula moon, and that is very deep in the Gandanta zone. We're going to have Venus moving through the Gandanta zone from Jeshta into Mula pretty much as the election is happening. So there's going to be a very heavy karmic churning, hence why this dolphin appeared here. And again, because Mercury is moving into the retrograde shadow very shortly after the election, I don't really think that we can really talk about this Mercury in Scorpio without really considering how the election is going to be having a huge impact on what people are doing in their lives in terms of like making choices related to things like business, certain relationships, pursuing a certain path because of what different criteria like that can have an effect on and stuff, even tangentially. So it's going to be, I think, an emotional time, but again, in having the courage to delve into those waters, you will again consistently be coming into the awareness of, you know, deeper things within yourself that are like surfacing due to like the triggering of a lot of these things too. So it's not like, again, it's like consider the ways in which you can have a positive perspective on things that are happening, even if they are at certain points emotionally challenging to deal with, so to speak here. Lastly, for the oracles, we have trust yourself, and there's this woman with all of these like animal guides around her. I do think that this is a very important time to be in touch with your spiritual practices and your spiritual support, and trusting what you receive and really leaning on that support to help you, because I do think that that's going to be a part of this major third eye activation for a lot of people, especially when we get into Ashlesha energies and things like that, which have a deeper connection to like the natural world and stuff later on in the Mars transit. And also Scorpio having a connection to the occult and the hidden realms and our ability to navigate those spiritual portals with our intuition, especially if you find that you are having a lot of third eye activations, which can be, you know, enhanced creativity, enhanced visionary capacity, dreams, spirit contact, divination skill sets coming online in a new way. Like there's a lot of ways this can manifest. I think that it's going to be important that you don't write this off out of thinking that it's either too good to be true or that you are like crazy or something like that. Like it's just a time to really make sure that you are coming home within consistently, because Sun is debilitated for a lot of this transit, and it can have an impact on our vitality and our confidence levels in some senses. So it may be that if you're feeling a little bit down due to the turbulence that might be happening emotionally, that you don't forget to trust yourself even when things are intense or you're seeing a lot of like a lot's being revealed and stuff like that, and it like shakes up the foundation, you know, of like the home and the homeland, stuff like that. It's just going to be important to like not misinterpret things like a pendulum swing as like a doomsday prediction or something like that. So there's that. And we do have cards at the bottoms of the decks. We have 8 of Pentacles popped up in reverse. Again, I always read the bottom of the deck reverse, but we'll keep it for now. 8 of Pentacles, Owl, New Life, Change, the Sorceress, Rhiannon card from my Goddess Oracle, Diving for Light. So I think first and foremost, it's important to recognize here that this Rhiannon card is very much like Queen of Wands energy. So they're like, you are manifesting, you are tapping into your creative power in a new way that is going to be upgrading your life substantially. We have 8 of Pentacles in reverse and New Life popping up in reverse, and Change. So there are a lot of changes that you yourself are catalyzing simply by acting in accordance with what you know to be true and in accordance with what has been revealed about your desires. And as such, there is a very deep interchange that is happening that is crystallizing a new you from the inside, and the new life is being born. But it's like the inward part of the retrograde is when a lot of this is going to happen. So it's like we are being prepared for this moment of really internalizing the new avatar crystallization situation, as far as I can tell. And it does feel overall positive. Now, it is going to require some shadow work vibes. that's just a part of it. Mercury is the alchemist, so it's always going to be a bit of that. Like, it's always going to involve some transmutation of the shadow material. But I don't see it. It's really just about keeping the faith and keeping the patience, because Mercury doesn't leave retrograde shadow after the retrograde ends until like towards the end of January 2025. So we have to keep it in perspective that this first part's taking us to the end of November, basically. But then we have the whole retrograde throughout the majority of December. Mars goes retrograde then too. Jupiter will, I think, still be retrograde also, yeah. So there's still a lot of inward spelunking that needs to be done to fully like get this new situation fully online. But it's a process. And I think that over time you will see the steady results crystallizing from within and eventually without. So there will be guide markers, milestone moments along the way that can keep you motivated to not like throw the towel in. And like there will be changes that are happening that are substantial, even if you feel like it's not moving at a pace that's like fast enough for you. Because again, Mercury is like a fast moving planet, and I think that sometimes we want it to go faster when it's retrograde, but it's not. We have to like go through this process of reflection. But overall, I'm feeling positive about it. It's just, I think I'm getting the image I just got in my mind psychically was when you watch Jeopardy and the guy, I guess I say Alex Trebek, but like he's dead, right? So it's not Alex Trebek anymore. It's Ken Jennings, I guess. So I guess like when Ken Jennings is like reading the final answer or whatever, and then they have to do like we're like Mercury retrograde is like this first part is like the answers being read. Like the answer is very clearly 9 of Cups, right? But then it's like we have to figure out what the question is. So it's like how do we get there? And I think that the retrograde part is going to be the part where we hear the Jeopardy theme and we're thinking, we're scribbling down our answer or the question to the answer of how Jeopardy works. And then I think it's going to be once the station direct happens, there will be an externalization of the internalized transformation that's going on. And I say that because we got release appearing beneath the other card. Kali, endings and beginnings. This is fierce shit. This is like the moment that Mercury's like, I'm going into Moolah, bitch. After it leaves Scorpio, and we're like, oh shit, like it's time for like massive ending and release vibes. But at the same time, we got Ace of Cups renewal. We got coming to life. The new life is coming online. That was promised with this new life card at the bottom of the deck. So it's happening. It's just going to be a whole process. And I think that it's interesting that this is sort of overlapping with like the election and then the time that it takes for the election to happen and the transition team to do their thing. And then the inauguration happens in January. It's like the exact time frame of that. So it's like, what are we choosing right now? What are we electing in our lives, you know? And then how do we hang in there until these changes and this whole thing can start to like crystallize? We're about to find out. So I'm excited to see what happens in the next part of the series. I'm definitely going to be making an effort to bring some of these readings back in like clips and at least that's like my plan, you know, and put them in little lists so that you can like watch the different planets in a row, you know, and like kind of see how things evolve through time. That's what I have for you for now. What else? Oh yes, remember, like, share, subscribe, comment. I'm trying to grow my channel and anything helps, and I'm so appreciative of any help that I get for that. Also, Earth Guardian Quest, now boarding my very first extended 5-month container. It's going to be taking Earth Guardians on a journey guided through the end of Saturn Aquarius. Once Saturn Aquarius stations direct, the container begins. So signups are live now. They will be live through November 15th. The doors will then close, and any Earth Guardians that have boarded will be in the container, and we will be journeying through the end of the Saturn Aquarius era. Extremely powerful energies that are going to be asking us to activate shamanic archetypal energies in our field. You can find all the information for Earth Guardian Quest, Confronting the Shadows of an Ending Era, Saturn in Aquarius, Denouement, over at mythichearts.com/quest. Lastly, my books are open for personal sessions, so if you would like to book a private session with me one-on-one, you can find all my information over at mythichearts.com/levelup. I am here to help you activate your destiny timeline and level up to your highest potential in the game of life. Other than that, head on over to twitch.tv/Serpentine Rising, and you can find me streaming 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday usually. Sometimes I change it up though, like right now it's Saturday. Oh well. And yeah, I'm on Twitter and IG. You can find all my social media links in my bio. But until next time, may your heart lead on the path of destiny, and I'll see you in the next video.